too long actually right now, but a long time. We have Christians, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, and we all come together to know something better for ourselves. So this will be next Sunday at 1:30 at Temple Bet Yam, and it's easy to get to, and I think you'll really enjoy that. We also need volunteers for our hospitality, if that's something that would interest you, because it's always a wonderful thing to have something nice to eat after the service. If you'd like to do that, talk with Linda Simpson. Linda, raise your hand over there. And Carolyn Lang is going to come up and make a fun announcement for us. Come on up, Carolyn Lang.
Good morning, everyone. Just a really quick announcement that we've been working on and finally have come to a time when it's time to get this choir going again here at CSL. Yay, yay. And Eddie's going to meet with anyone who's interested next week right after service to share his vision for what the choir will look like. So if you're interested at all in singing, please join us. That's it.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. And that should be wonderful. You know, before the pandemic, we had a choir of like 25 people. Can you imagine 25 people behind Eddie singing joyfully? We're going to get there, and it's going to be soon. Also, just a quick announcement. If you're a board member, please stick around afterwards. I'd like to have a quick meeting with you. So you know the guilty party, so please stick around. All right, those are all my announcements. And to get us started on a treatment and a reading, we got our own Richard Austin. Come on up here, Richard.
Thank you, Ken. Good morning, everyone. So much going on this week, not only locally, but around the world. And so I wanted to bring this reading from the Science of Mind Guide for Spiritual Living. It's March 2nd, so it's not only in the past, but it's also right now and in your future here. It's on this day they titled Freedom to Know Truth. And from Louise Hayes, she writes, I do not fix problems, I fix my thinking, and then problems fix themselves. The truth alone has the power to let the sunlight of the eternal good shine through the shadows of the imprisoned soul and set the captive free to know themselves. From Ernest Holmes, Freedom from Stress. And so with these thoughts, knowing all of the worldly issues that are going on this week, I wanted to share that with you for some deep meaning and understanding. The teaching of this philosophy, this way of life, it isn't for wimps. It is about knowing yourself, diving deep and healing what needs to be healed. This teaching takes courage. Courage to step in and step up to the best of who you are and the pure potential lying dormant within you. And so we see some of these things that are happening for the leaders, not only in our country, but other countries and in areas of conflict. And so in this morning's meditation, I spoke of if there's any conflict within us, we need to go deep within to resolve that within us, and our world will show a new idea coming out of it. And so as we go into this treatment this morning, know this truth with me now, that there's one divine creative intelligence. It operates throughout the law of mind and throughout my entire being right here and right now. I move forward and resolve any unresolved issue within myself, and therefore creating a better world within my viewpoint. I go forward that I know that I do this from a place of compassion, a place of love, and a place of deep-seated feeling that I turn into a creative goodness within myself, within my world, and it affects others in a positive way. I feed this truth not only to my subconsciousness, but my spirit, and then that also goes into the greater universe to do its good and powerful and bold dynamic work. And so we see this truth moving through us, moving in this center and attracting new people to this thought, this idea, and this creativity. And we see this good moving out into the world to do the same. And we set this free to do its good work easily by saying together, and so it is. Namaste.
Thank you, Richard.
Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place. You are the place. We are the place where God shows up. I am the place. You are the place. We are the place where God shows up. Clap your hands and sing it with me, y'all. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Look at the person next to you and say, you are the place. You are the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. You are the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
Ow. I am the place. You are the place that God lives, moves and bleeds and has its being. We're not some victim. We're not some wounded person. We are here to know how powerful we are. We are here to know that the Spirit of God is flowing through us. And if we don't like the circumstances we see around us, we can change them. We're not here just to take what life has to offer. We're here to be the change of life, the change of goodness, the change of prosperity, the change of love. And I know that the winds of turmoil are blowing hard, but that just means that you are that powerful to face those winds and say, I have a better idea. I know that the power of goodness is flowing through me, and there is nothing in this world that's going to scare me. So my talk this morning is on enjoying life, enjoying life. It's what we've come to do in every circumstance. And even when we see the worst of humanity, and boy, we're seeing it right now, there is something we can say, this is good, this is God. Because the more we seek the good in God in our lives and are grateful for it, the more our ability to see it expands and grows, even in the worst of times. I always loved what Mr. Rogers would tell little kids when they would talk about tragedy. And he would say, well, when you're looking at something that's happened bad, he says, don't just focus on what's happened to the people who are hurt. He says, look for the people running to help them. Look for those and identify with those. And I think that's what we're having to do. We need to look and don't turn away. We can't, hide our heads in the sand, but seek the good that's happening out there. One story that's about the tragedy in Ukraine that I liked this week or identified this week, it happened to be about a grandmother in Ukraine, and she lives in one of the high rises. She looked out her window, and there was a drone flying at her level at the window, and she took a jar of pickled tomatoes and threw it out and down the drone. She went to the ground floor and stomped it to pieces. We need more grandmas and we need more pickled tomatoes. And as far as I'm concerned, pickled tomatoes, that's about the best thing you can do with them, is throw them out the window and hit a drone. But it's taking what you have and saying, no, I don't have to put up with it. I don't have to put up with it. We can't wait for life to be perfect to enjoy it, because it's never going to be. It's not meant to be. We have to carve out a place of love and joy right where we are. When I was a very misguided young person, I had the thought that I couldn't be happy as long as there was suffering in the world. And I took that even to more of an extreme and thought that I shouldn't really have anything that was really good or really valuable, that whatever I really valued, I should give it away. And I was working on Capitol Hill in Washington, and there's a wonderful market, if you're ever in D.C. at Christmas time, it's called Eastern Market. And I had bought a hand-blown vase, and it was really beautiful. And so a friend of mine imposed herself on me for Christmas, and so I decided I would give her this vase, that I didn't deserve this beautiful thing, I would give it to her. And I did, and as she was packing up to leave my family house for Christmas, I handed her the box it was in, and as she took it, the bottom fell out of it, and the vase smashed on the concrete. And the idea came to me, you needed to keep that vase. That was yours to keep. We're supposed to have the good in our lives. It's good for us to have good in our lives. It wasn't until I came to this teaching of ours that I realized that my failure to enjoy a good life doesn't help anybody. My not enjoying life doesn't alleviate one iota of suffering for anybody else. Now, we want to do what we can for those in need, and we're seeing a lot of need right now. But here's the thing that I've come to realize, that we want to help not out of a sense of guilt and shame. That's the problem, I think, with traditional teachings, is they wanted people to feel so bad about themselves so that they would do good works. we are reversing that, and we're saying we want you to feel so good about yourself that you want to go out and make the world a better place. And I think when we do that, when we feel so good about ourselves that we want to go out and make the world a better place, that's exactly what we're going to do. And not in guilt and shame, but in love and joy. It's what Scripture said. Scripture said, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. And I think when we get to this approach, we are going to really bring a new heaven and a new earth. It's what we've prophesied that would happen. I believe we can change the world, and we can do it through love and joy. Now, we also want to realize that for life, there is a part of joy. We want to hold on to that. And when there is sorrow in life, I think we have to acknowledge them both. I love, one of my first teachers was a guy named Bernie Siegel. He was a cancer surgeon, and he had an interesting experience. The first book he wrote was Love, Medicine, and Miracles. It's a really great book. It's an old one now, but it was really good. He was a young man, kind of a handsome guy, and he said he first realized that he wasn't connecting with his patients. And what he realized was that he was really almost too good looking. And he decided to shave his head and to be bald. And he said when he did that, his patients began to identify with him because they saw a woundedness within him that they could identify with. He said that he was prepared in life. He said if a friend came to him with troubles, he would say, sit down, let's get a cup of tea and have a scone. If a friend came to him with really good news, he would say, let's sit down and have a cup of tea and a scone. It's a very sort of Jewish idea. You know, the Passover service, you're going to have some bitter herbs. That's going to remind you of the really tough things that the Jewish people have experienced in history. You're going to have some salty foods because that will remind you of the tears that they have shed for some of those experiences. And then you're going to have really, really sweet wine because they also want to remind you, even with the bitter herbs, the salty food, that life can be sweet and good. And so we want to embrace all of that and to look for signs of love and joy and compassion wherever we're at, to look for them. There's a wonderful book by another Jewish author, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. And one of the most powerful things in that book is he was in the concentration camps. And he said even in the concentration camp, he saw signs of beauty and love. Even in that place of hell, the power and goodness of the human soul burst through. One of my wonderful teachers, he was a science of mind minister out in Palm Desert. He was a little guy, his name was Tom Costa. He was called the Doctor of Love. And when I met him, he was up in age and he was actually going through chemo. And he said he would go in for his chemo, and he said that the technicians had begun to notice. He was a very snappy dresser. He was a smaller guy, and he dressed very suit and ties and very expensive stuff. And they had begun to notice that he wore these really colorful socks, and that kind of became a thing around the chemo lab. That, you know, what kind of socks was he wearing? So then it became a thing for him to try to find as many elaborate socks as he could to entertain the lab technicians. Here this guy was going through chemo, and he was trying to brighten the day of the people giving him chemotherapy. That's a willingness to look for goodness and to know that we are a channel of it. That we're not only just looking for it, we incorporate it, we give gratitude for it, and expands through our hearts and souls, and then we become a channel of God's goodness where we are. And it's what we've been called to do. It's the water from the well. If you drink, you'll thirst no more. So we want to get a vision of the life we want to have, the type of world we want to live in, And we want to use our prayer and consciousness to put that into the mind of God. I said in a video this week, and I'll stress it again, I think it's really powerful for us right now to hold a vision of peace coming to Ukraine. Hold a vision of those Russian soldiers dropping their weapons and going back to Russia. Hold a vision of the Ukrainian people being safe, the children being safe, the mothers being safe. We are at an inflection point of history. It's going to go either one or several ways. But I know if we will hold on to the vision of God's goodness, that it has to go in that direction. That there is not a power of humanity's ignorance that can hold it back. And so that's what we want to do. And then you want to look out on your world, and if you see the smallest signs of compassion and love coming through, you shout glory, glory. Now, don't do it in the Publix cheese department. You'll get really bad looks. But say it in your heart. Say, this is the glory of God coming through. And then give gratitude for it and pass it along as best you can. Expect something wonderful. Expect something good in your life. Expect a miracle in your life. Because don't you deserve it? Don't you deserve it? But you've got to believe it. You got to see it. You got to be willing to put your work into it in consciousness, put your hands to work into it, and set about to make it possible. You just can't sit back and expect it to show up. And if it's not showing up for you in a certain place, you have to be, as Jesus said, willing to shake the sand off from your sandals and move on to a place that will support you. You can't just hold back. Jesus said you have a light within you that is going to light the world, but we have to bring it out. Dr. Holmes, the founder of our teaching, he says the power of life is within us. It's within us. It's a spiritual power. It's the power that set the universe into motion. And when we use it intelligently, deliberately, with conviction and with some discipline, something we have to do day by day, we are able to bring peace and harmony and joy and abundance into every aspect of our lives. That which has made us miserable can be eliminated through the power of our thinking. The thing which has made us poor and sick can make us healthy and prosperous. It's the direction of our consciousness. He said, Spirit could not want to visit hate or fear upon us because God transcends all those things. And if Spirit transcends all those things, there's a way for us to transcend them as well. We're not here to experience that. We're here to experience the glory of God. We're here to have a God experience, a good experience. And so we want to think, is there something in this past week that has happened to me that has been good? Is there something that I have seen in this past week that I say, yes, that's the Spirit of God showing up in my life? And I know people want something really big. You know, they want the angel to show up. They want the burning bush to show up. It can be a small thing. I happened to meet our neighbors, new neighbors, a couple of doors down this week, and found out that they're really exceptionally lovely people. Glory, glory. That's a sign of God's love for us to be surrounded by kindness and friendship and compassion. That is Spirit showing up in our lives. And when you acknowledge it, when you're willing to pass it along, when you hold on tight to it, that power expands throughout your entire life. It expands not only just for compassion and love, but for your health and your prosperity. It opens up all kinds of opportunities with you. Dr. Holmes says we have to sense the presence of Spirit in our life with simplicity and directness. We know that Spirit is at the center of our lives, and you can't diminish it. You can't turn it off. But you can increase that light to be a beacon of hope and love and compassion that will light the whole world. Because we're directing the creativity of God in our lives. So we want to look for the blessings of Spirit, and they will multiply. Count your woes and troubles, and you'll run out of fingers and toes with all of them. And they will multiply as well. But we are here to know just how wonderful we are, how loved we are, how valued we are. That there is only one of us, and we have been called by name to be here right where we are, to do something wonderful, joyful. You are on a mission from God to bring love in your life. You're on a mission of God to bring peace to your life. You're on a mission from God to bring in prosperity. You're here to let the world see how wonderful you are, how joyful God is, and what an amazing life we have. It's the truth in your life, and you have it. God is counting on you, and you are up to the task. It's the truth in your life this morning. It's the truth in mine, and so it is.
Another amazing message. But something that really popped out for me is this: within our thinking is the seed of cosmic creation. Wow. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows, a beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. Such a beautiful garden. That garden is you.
Thank you, Eddie. Now, to help to create this garden or help sustain this garden, of course, we ask for your contributions. You can support us in several ways. You can support us in consciousness and prayer, and envision this center growing and thriving. Envision that wonderful choir behind Eddie or youth program that's dynamic. You can support us in coin, obviously, and we're grateful for that as well, and also your volunteerism. And including in that is your ideas of how we can grow, how we can become better. Whatever way you choose to support us, if you will take that and place it over your heart and read with me this affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I invite you to sing along. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
So I'm going to do this closing prayer in the first person, but take it in for yourself. If I say something that works for you, we'll hold tight to that. If I say something that doesn't work for you, just let that part slide by. But just know this truth with me this morning. I am so blessed. Here in this world of turmoil, I have a place in a life of peace and ease. I have all the food and warmth and comfort I need. So here today, I am so grateful for all of that. And I look out onto my life and I choose to see the goodness of God blooming forth. A rose grows in Spanish Harlem, even right up through the concrete. And I choose to look for that rose. I choose to be a part of that rose. The goodness and glory of God is blooming forth in my heart and soul. And this morning, I know, regardless of what's going on in the world, that there is a better idea being born. And this morning, I'm attaching and identifying with that better idea. That we have come to life to live in goodness and kindness and compassion. That there is a world of sisterhood and brotherhood that's breaking out, where every child is safe, where every child is valued, where every child gets to grow up and to be the apple of their parents' eye. Here today, I know that the guns of violence are silenced. Here today, I know that aggression is moving back. Here today, I know peace is breaking out. Here today, I know the glory of the human soul is rising up and proclaiming itself. That God itself has proclaimed that we be the people that it has called us to be. Today, I know the truth about myself. I am not weak. I am not wounded. I am moving forth in courage and compassion and kindness. There is a beacon of light within me, and this morning I am saying yes to it. There is nothing that's holding me back. I am breaking the shackles and the bonds of all fear and all ignorance, and this morning I am rising up to be the person God is calling me to be. It's my truth. Every cell of my being radiates this right knowing, and I release this prayer into the mind of God to do its good and perfect, bold and dynamic work, returning to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, And so it is. All right, my friends, I'm going to leave you with one last idea. Your life. Your life. It's not a problem to be solved. It's a miracle unfolding. Your job this week is to go name your miracle, proclaim your miracle, and make it your own. God bless us all. Now let us go be the miracle God is calling us to be. This is Reverend Ken with Eddie and wishing you a many blessings till we see each other again.
Please stand and join us for the peace song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with our family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Namaste. God bless you.